Hi, Michael. How are you doing today?
Gilbert, great to see you again. I'm doing awesome.
Yes, indeed. It's very nice to see you in the new year. A fresh start. Gold is going up, so no complaints. So maybe you can briefly introduce your company, Total Metals, to our audience here with its core projects in the Greater Red Lake District.
So Total Metals is a group of, I guess, ex-Gold Corp geologists and Tyler Thorburn. Tyler's a MBA oil and gas landman who really did the heavy lifting to get the corporation side of things going. And then we've been putting in a good number of projects. Our first and focus project is Electrolode up in the Red Lake District. It's a VMS gold silver project, has a historic 2 million ton resource on the property. We should be drilling there on the weekend. The drill's mobilizing actually today. And we expect to be there until the spring thaw drilling. The number of holes I would say is going to be close to 20, but we're going to be expanding or testing to expand the existing resource, doing some extension testing on some electromagnetic targets from recent airborne surveys. And then there's several other resource areas that if time permits before the ground thaws, we'll go back in there and test those zones and see if we can expand those resources and hopefully connect a bunch of them to the Arizona, which is our focus right now. Our second project of focus is the High Lake project just down in Kenora. That's a gold project along with West Hawk Lake. We acquired those recently from McFarland Lake Gold. We will be doing some Native First Nations consultations in the near term. And then we just recently announced the Mineri property just down near Rainy River. And that project is completely surrounded by Coeur d'Alene mining. There's a lot of high-grade grab samples and channel samples and drill holes there. We are waiting on permits for that, and we'll have to do some First Nations consultation as well on that project. But sort of the progress of projects, I think, for this year's drilling will be Electrolode, hopefully High Lake, and then Mineri. But some of that's contingent on community discussions and making sure everything goes smoothly there.
Yeah, so I believe your story, Cool Metals, is not a typical exploration junior. You would just like raise money and just keep on drilling. So maybe you can tell us a bit of overall your strategic goals this year, some
Sure.
of the priorities, how you approach these.
Yeah, our strategic priorities are to acquire some more ounces in northwestern Ontario. We are looking at three projects right now. Hopefully, we'll have some traction on one. We've started discussions with a private company, Kattegat, which we announced we've offered them a loan. We're waiting to see if we have TSX approval and shareholder approval on the Kattegat side for that transaction. But that project is a historic over 700,000 ounces at 12 grams. We have two majors up in the main Red Lake district that we are looking to start discussions with as well as several juniors. And then there's a few prospectors who have some claims that we've been in discussions with that we will try to get around and finish that. But we've been so active, it's hard to do multiple transactions simultaneously. So it's almost we have to start one, finish it, start one, finish it. It's slowed down our pace that we want it to be running at. But I think that's the best way to work with the TSX Venture Exchange right now because they seem a little overloaded with paperwork coming in from us and other companies.
As I can imagine, what's happening to the
Yeah.
industry. Yeah, so you've raised quite a bit of capital in 2025. Can you walk us through that and how what's gonna be your use of proceeds or for these
Sure.
financings?
So we've done sort of three rounds of financing. One was a private round, the last of which was 25 cents, and that came free trading just before Christmas. We started trading in August. Be late September, early October, we did a 60-cent financing round of about $10 million. The primary use of those proceeds was to acquire the West Hawk and High Lake properties. And then we did another financing in December that was a combination at 90 cents for the hard, $1.05 for national flow through, and $1.15 for critical minerals flow through. The critical minerals flow through is targeted for the Electrolode property. The national flow through we can use on Electrolode or any of our gold properties. And then the hard dollars are sort of G&A and acquisition marketing. Let us get through transactions, and we wanted to have a bit of a war chest so that we were not always running back to the market every time we wanted to do an acquisition or do some marketing.
Yeah, I believe investing into the junior or in general the mining market obviously relies quite a bit of the expertise and the team with the people and of course the jurisdiction. Can you tell us a bit about because you have your team have deep experience of the Red Lake region and that give you that give Total Metals an advantage over in advancing this portfolio?
I would think so. Like, I mean, just Rob Penzak, Tim Toomey, Paul Bark, and myself, we were all working for Gold Corp during the high grade zone, and Tim and I continued to work with juniors in the region. Rob ended up coming back when he was working with Yamana, so he's come back. I think Paul and I have probably worked the most with Tim in the last few years because we were a big part of putting together Trillium Gold Mines, which is now a big part of Renegade Gold. And I was on West Red Lake's board until Frank Schuster's team came in and took over. So our experience goes back to the 90s. We were part of the exploration group working with Rob McEwen. I was doing regional exploration. Rob and Tim and Paul were working at the Red Lake mine, but they were also working on the high grade zone. And that high grade zone discovery was, it's still one of the best discoveries that have ever been made in North America and maybe the world, where we averaged a recovered grade of 2.26 ounces per ton, which is pretty exceptional for any mine anywhere.
And of course, gold has been doing very well. You know, it's over. Last time you checked, it's $4,000. A little while, 4,500 and more. So there's a lot of interest into investing into the gold juniors now, coming back to the market. So how does Total Metals compare to the rest of the other gold juniors? What do you think that sort of stand out that amongst others?
Well, I think what we're looking at is we're really targeting higher grade ounces. So I personally, I've got a bit of line in the sand at 7.5 grams, and anything below that is not on our radar screen right now. So we're trying to stay 10 grams or higher, but there's a few deposits of magnitude that are sitting idle at the 7.5 gram range that, if we can negotiate a transaction on, it would be very incremental to the benefit of the shareholders and to the company. So we will look at that. We're also looking, today it's gold's $6,700 Canadian an ounce. And I was at the CEM Alpha North conference just recently, and the brokers there were saying, you're the only one who talks and thinks in Canadian dollars. And I go, well, my expenses are all in Canadian dollars. So, converting into US dollars doesn't do me any benefit. So keep it all in Canadian dollars. And if you've got 10 grams of gold per ton, you're over $2,000 worth of gold in the ground. That's spectacular. It's and you can do a lot with that. You don't necessarily have to have your infrastructure for processing right next door. You can put a 10 grams per ton in a dump truck and drive it several hours to a mill. So there's lots of opportunities being in northwestern Ontario with mills in Bissett, 4 mills in Red Lake, one down in Rainy River. Kinross is looking to build out a mill for Great Bear, First Mining at Springpole Lake, and Next Gold over at the Goliath deposit in Dryden. We're just in a really good location to benefit from a lot of other people's infrastructure.
And let's talk a bit about your share price now. It had a bit about some volatility due to the go public transaction with the share unlocked. So, do you believe this is an undervalued situation here? Is it a good entry point for new investors to build on for Total Metals this year?
Well, we did our last hard dollar financing at 90 cents. So I'd say right now, it would be if you're paying less than 90 cents, you're probably in a good place to acquire some shares. We do have another unlock coming in the end of February, and that's from the 60-cent financing. So, will there be some more volatility? Probably won't go below 60 cents, but I think the news we're going to be generating from drilling, if we get some more acquisitions in, we might see a good pop in the share price just from doing and executing what we say we're going to do. But I'd say we're being um, cautious and optimistic with our drilling and not trying to do anything that's too crazy where do small step outs to start with and then do bigger step outs because some of these deposits haven't been drilled on electrolodes since the 80s or early 90s. And technology has changed. So we have all the new geophysics, but let's see if the geophysics actually deliver better value. We're doing Maxwell models, 3D inversions. None of this was capable the last time some of these zones were drilled. So we want to make sure we know what we're doing, what we're getting into, and there'll be a little bit of education and testing on the first holes per target. But once you get the geometry and the grade sorted out, I think we're off to the races.
Well, a lot to look forward to in this new year. So, Michael, thank you for your time here with us to talk to us about the first time about Total Metals. So, I look forward to speaking with you soon about some updates.
Thanks very much, Gilbert. Take care.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.